Please find your seats and prepare for this morning's service. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Columbia. My name is Rebecca Drennan, and I'm your service leader today. To those of you here with us in the sanctuary, please be advised that this service is being streamed on YouTube. To those of you watching this streamed service, we're glad to have you, but would of course rather have you here with us in person. Also, let me remind you that we have a pre- and post-service Zoom event, which also runs the YouTube stream of service. So please make sure that you read all the announcements in your printed order of service. Also, and especially, be sure to read the weekly events that are emailed to you each week, I think on Thursdays, as well as the Unigram and the website. I urge you to keep our website, your website, open as a tab on your internet browser so you can keep up with what is happening. Please practice social distancing and mask wearing per board-approved guidelines, which is optional now. Optional except for singing. I know we've asked that when you sing, if you could wear a mask at that time. At this moment, those are approved guidelines, and masking is optional while inside the sanctuary. And now let us center ourselves for today's service and remember to silence all electronic devices as we listen to the prelude. Yes, before we do that, thank you, Richard. We have a special announcement today, and Linda Brennison is going to bring it to us.
Good morning. Good morning. To those of you who are following along in the order of service, this is not an announcement about Article 2. No, but I am Linda Brennison, a member of the newly formed Exploring Denominational Change Committee. This is the second in a short series of education pieces about our denomination. Soon, the committee will provide more information about proposed changes at the UUA. Our goal is to educate our members about these possible changes, what they are, how they are determined, and how they could affect you. Today, let's begin with an outline of the Unitarian Universalist Association and some of the things it does for its member congregations. The UUA is the central organization for the Unitarian Universalist, UU, religious movement in the United States. The UUA's 1,000 plus member congregations are committed to our 7 principles, which are printed in your order of service. Each individual UU congregation is autonomous. Congregational leaders set their own priorities and choose their own ministers and staff. Congregations vote for the leaders of the UUA, who oversee the central staff and resources. The UUA is led by elected president, moderator, and a board of trustees of 11 members and 2 youth trustees. Gesundheit. These leaders are elected every few years by congregational delegates at the annual General Assembly gathering, which we call GA. You'll hear people talk about GA. Other specialized boards and committees also help lead the UUA. The number of congregational delegates to GA is based on the membership size of a congregation. And this year, we here at UUCC qualify for 3 voting delegates. who have already been selected and approved by our Board of Trustees. This year's GA will be held next month, virtually and also in person in Portland, Oregon. The UUA supports congregations in their work by training UU ministers, providing online training classes for UU congregations, publishing books and the UU World magazine, providing excellent religious education curricula for children and youth, such as OWL, Our Whole Lives, as well as a music certification program, a 3-year program through which candidates develop professional skill and knowledge in music skills and resources, Unitarian Universalist heritage and values, and leadership and interpersonal skills. Our own Anna Hamilton is participating in this program, and she's almost completed her certification. Various types of financial aid are provided to congregations by the UUA, such as sharing their Zoom license, thus reducing the annual fee for Zoom and enabling us, UUCC, to have 3 Zoom accounts, which have been most helpful in keeping us connected to our members during the pandemic. The UUA also provides financial aid to attendees of General Assembly. UUA helps congregations in the fight for social justice by coordinating social justice activities, such as UU The Vote, and SCUJA, the South Carolina UU Justice Alliance. And finally, the UUA maintains 5 UU regions nationwide, with regional staffs available for help with local problems. These staffs are meant to equip congregations with the effective leadership and training they need to build and nurture strong and dynamic congregations. They do not direct, they assist, but only if we ask. UUA is supported financially by member congregations who are asked but not required to pay dues under the annual program fund. The COVID crunch has severely impacted the ability of many congregations, such as our own, to pay dues to the UUA. In closing, I would just like to remind you to keep calm and carry on, and stay tuned for future updates. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Linda. And Richard, please.
Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I have the pleasure to introduce a new musician in our group here. She's not a new musician, but she's been around for a while. Anyhow, this is Dee Dee Herson. They have been attending here for several months now, really. She and her husband, who's on the boards up here, say hi to him. Say hi, Tony. Hey, Tony. Yeah. Anyhow, we're going to do a piece this morning that I think you'll be familiar with as we get into it. You ready? Okay. Hold. Somebody put my pages up here in the wrong order. Oh, wait, I think it was me. Don't you just hate it when there's a situation that you can't blame anybody else? Okay, back at the break. Ready?
Thank you so much for that beautiful music. Would all of you please stand and join me in our congregational covenant as found in your order of service? It's there. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve others in community. Thus do we covenant with one another. Thank you. You may be seated. Unitarian Universalism is a diverse and non-creedal religion. We are covenantal religion, which means we don't have to believe the same in order to treat each other the same, with respect, equity, compassion, and dignity. Our community is based on deeds, not creeds. As Unitarian Universalists, we side with love, embracing all people regardless of age, color, race, socioeconomic status, physical ability, or religious background. Yep. We especially invite families with young children, obviously. Yes. And we even have a nursery. Thank heavens. Although we love the sound of children's voices, and that's why we really have gone out of our way to be a church that embraces families and children. So we're a welcoming congregation, which means we embrace LGBTQ individuals. And we encourage everyone to wear a name tag so that we may know each other better. Board members wear green tags, and they always welcome your comments and questions and suggestions. And I'm going to ask them to stand up just so you can see who they are. Over here and there. Good, good. Thank you. At this time, we would like to recognize any guests. And I'm going to ask Stephen if he would. Visitors, please, we want to recognize you. Please stand and wait until Stephen comes around. We'd love you to say your name and where you're from. I see someone back there.
Back through there.
Well, my name's Olivia. I'm from Lake City.
All right, welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
Logan?
Lake City.
Lake City, all right.
Yeah, welcome, welcome. Please, I think you already have filled out a visitor's card, which is great. So now I'm going to ask, let's see. When we're further along in our recovery from the pandemic, hopefully, we'll open back up the fellowship hall and be able to meet afterward. Right now, except for the chill this morning, I invite you to go out to the patio after we're finished and meet with each other. Today, we have a very special chalice lighter. And many of you know who this is, Joseph Eisenreich. Without children. You tried, right?
I tried really hard.
I know it. Thank you.
So actually, I'm going to keep it brief, but right before we got the girls, I wanted to find someplace where I could raise them with community and with love and with learning and growth, but without hearing that my husband and I are going to a bad place because of who we are and who their family is. So I'm really grateful to have this place, and I continually appreciate all of the patience that you have with 5-year-olds or soon to be 5-year-olds.
Yay. Spirit of light and life, come unto us.
While they're down here, I'll go ahead and do the story for all ages. They're already here. And any other kids want to join us? Come on down. Yeah.
Here's somebody coming from the back. There. We lost Colette. Maybe she'll come back.
That's all right. Well, welcome. It's good to see you all. I was going to share a book with you this morning, but my daughter wouldn't let me bring it, so she held on to it really tightly. It's one of her favorite books. It's called Everything is Mama, which is, for her, like, it's a book that says, I have to kind of ad-lib for you. It's written by Jimmy Fallon, who you know from The Tonight Show, and so basically it's got a duck, it's got a horse, it's got a cow, and everything is Mama. But you know what? That's not her favorite word to say. You know what her favorite word to say? JP knows what her favorite word. Say it, JP. Dada. That's right. So she also has a book that says everything is Dada as well. And she enjoys that one a lot more. But you know, today, I just remembered that we're videoing this, so Michelle's gonna get me. You know, today is a good day to celebrate and say thank you to all the people that take care of you. It could be mom, it could be dad, it could be dads, it could be moms, it could be grandparents. There are lots of people that take care of you. So who would you like to say thank you to that takes care of you? Oh, thank you to you. All right. Who else?
Who do you want to say thank you to?
A shellfish.
All right.
My mom.
All right, awesome. So this is a great chance to celebrate and turn around and say thank you to moms, dads, grandparents. And I want you to do one more thing while we're up here. Did you know that you have a whole group of people here at the church that also love you and take care of you? So this is also an opportunity to turn around and know that you are in a place where you're loved and where we care for you and we enjoy the sound of your voices and your presence here every day. Believe it or not, Joseph, we do. Thank you all for coming down.
We're going to switch around a little bit here. Instead of the Brahms piece, we're going to do the aria now, as you see it in your bulletin, but we'll still do the Brahms piece later. So, here we go.
Another big thank you to Richard and Dee Dee for such beautiful music. Thank you all for sharing your gifts and talents with us this morning. And no worry, Richard, on the page music. Dave back there has great editing software. He'll just tie that in like it never happened. And I know he can do that because many of my 20-minute sermons are only 10 minutes when they get posted. So he's doing some editing somewhere. So, for our opening words today, I share the words entitled Circle of Care by Lisa Bovey-Kemper. In religious community, we share our joys and our triumphs, our sorrows and our broken places. In this circle of care, we make space for the complexity of life, the myriad experiences that bless and break our hearts. The truth of human experience dictates that on any given day, we each come to the table with hearts in different places. It is especially so on this day, invented to honor the women who nurture. In this circle of care, we honor the truth that mothering is not and never will be quantified in one single descriptor. Mothering can be elusive or infuriating, fulfilling or confusing, commonplace or triumphant, and exist in the everyday experiences of each person. There's no human being that's not connected or disconnected from a mother. And so we honor the complexity of experience, writ large in flowered platitudes, but here in this space laid bare, honoring the truth in each of our hearts. There is room for all in this circle. For those who have carried a child or children, whether or not they came to be born, we see you. If you have fervently wished to do so and circumstances have made it impossible, we see you. If your loved children we cannot see, whether because of death or estrangement, we see you. If you never wanted to be a mother, we see you. If you are happy to mother other people's children as an educator, an aunt, a foster parent, we see you. If your mother hurt you physically or emotionally, we see you. If you had no mother at all, we see you. If your mother is or was your best friend, we see you. If your gender says that you are not a mother and yet you take on the role of the nurturer, we see you. If you wonder whether your mothering has been enough, we see you. And if yours is a different truth altogether, we honor the unspoken story. There is room for all in this circle. This time I invite you to participate in our sharing of candles, lighting those candles to signify joys and concerns that we are bringing into this space. There are always 7 candles in the foyer that you can pick up and bring down and briefly share your joy or concern and place the candle here. This time, if you have a candle to share, I invite you to come forward.
You want to start? Okay. Good morning. Pat Moore and Jean Capalbo, and we're up here today to light a candle of gratitude and celebration and joy for another successful yard sale. And I can't let you get by with just clapping for us. Would everybody who helped before, during, or after the garage sale please come up here? You're not going to be asked to give a speech. Just come up here. And while they're coming up here, let me say that if you've never done this, I never thought I would say this has been a spiritual experience.
Really?
But when I was asked to coordinate this, I got to say something about you. I know you want to say something. The first thing I was asked when I was asked to coordinate this was I called Jean Capalbo, who has done it before. This is Jean the Machine. She's unstoppable. You can't stop her.
Oh, this is incredible. There were, we counted, 36 people that were involved in getting together. And also, thank you to all the people who donated things.
Yes.
Looking at Adele. And we had the best time trying to figure things out. and put them together and find a price for them. But also just the joy in being together and having a good time. So remember that for next time we do this, whenever that will be.
And remind people
And
there's more for
after the service,
yes, of course.
it is, go ahead.
After the service, it's a free-for-all in the back. With the donation, take a box, take a bag, and gather up anything you want or that you donated and you want back. And, you can just make a donation of any size to the congregation. I want to thank Bill Dolly, because he puts up with... Oh, man.
I'm so impressed by these two ladies and their crew. If you want to reduce the deficit, if you want to see the economy turn around, put these two ladies in charge. I'm deadly serious. So.
Thanks.
So go back afterwards and get a donation and give your village another hand.
Yes.
Is there a figure to announce? Is there a figure to announce yet?
Oh, well, it was very successful. We made it over 400,000 so far. I wish. 4,000.
Wow, Gene. That was quite the miss on the decimal place there. I thought for a second y'all actually included the piano from Rice House in the yard sale when you came up with that number. And definitely in the free-for-all, just remember it's just on that side of the partition. So don't come and grab the podium or the piano for a small donation. All right. Thank you. Thank you all for your great work and commitment to continuing to support the UUCC. We also light a candle this morning for all of those silent joys and concerns we bring into this place. Let's take a second and center ourselves in what we've heard and what we are celebrating. Thank you. As we prepare for our offering this morning, a reminder that this Share the Plate recipient for the month is Planned Parenthood. So if you would like to make a donation, you can do so with an offering envelope, or you can also donate online. Richard is going to introduce our offertory as our ushers come forward.
And there's a little more that's not in the bulletin. I'm going to do a piece, first of all, that was written in 1915, before most of your mothers even were born. It's called M-O-T-H-E-R. It was written by Theodore Morris and Howard Johnson's, and it teaches you how to spell mother. M is for the million things she gave me. O means only that she's growing old. T is for the tears she shed to save me. H is for her heart of purest gold. E is for her eyes with love light shining. R means right, and right she'll always be. Put them all together, they spell mother. A word that means the world to me. And then do another piece you'll all recognize. This is Brahms' Lullaby.
Thank you, Richard. It's always great to know when Anna is away, we have such talented folks to fill in and carry on.
I'm expecting a joke after that.
Nope, not at all. Just going to put the period there. So thank you, Richard and Dee Dee, for the beautiful, beautiful music today. In preparing for Mother's Day, this particular Sunday that has so many complicated feelings and emotions wrapped around it for various reasons, some that we named in our circle of words as we opened up today. For me, one of the images, two things that come to mind. One is the realization that my mom has figured out how to find the YouTube link. So now I have to edit some things that I say, especially if I talk about her. She let me know that the other day. Hey, you said something about me. I was like, she said, I couldn't hear it, but I knew you were talking about me. It's like, so, thank you, David, for messing with the audio there. That was nice. On a more somber note, one of the places my mind has gone constantly in preparing for this particular day is a photograph that all of us have seen, I would imagine, at this point. I'm going to share it with you. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but everybody probably recognizes that. This is an image of 4 or 5 men carrying a woman on a stretcher. And the ruins of a maternity hospital in Mariupol, Ukraine, that was bombed by the Russians on March 9th. Now, this photograph was taken by Evgeny Maloyetka, and the Associated Press later announced that this woman, who remained unnamed, both her baby and she died because of her injuries. And I think about what an image of motherhood, what an image of pain, what an image of tragedy that we are facing in this particular time, this particular season, as this war continues to linger on. One of the writers of an op-ed piece wrote in reflecting on this photo that there is no motherhood without the pain of childbirth. There's no childhood without tears. Even without war, there is more than enough suffering in the happiest of lives. When the dictator's epitaph is written, he will look to this woman and this blanket and include these words: he heaped misery upon this world. I feel a pattern continuing because last year on Mother's Day, we focused on Sissy Floyd, the mother of George Floyd, and several other mothers who have been thrust into the spotlight with the untimely and unnecessary deaths of their sons and daughters. But I think it's an appropriate way to honor this day, to not only think about what we celebrate, but to think about the pain that's involved for so many and for so many different reasons. And today, on this Mother's Day, causes us to pause and stand with the family units across the country of Ukraine whose lives have been utterly disrupted and damaged by this awful assault on their bodies, on their way of life, on their sense of being, and understanding who they are. Hundreds of miles from the front lines of the Ukraine, Donna Lahunovich still feels the daily stress of the Ukraine's war with Russia. She, like so many other Ukrainians, have her life living where family is displaced in various areas and parts of the world. In her case, her 38-year-old daughter and her son-in-law are both serving in the military in some of the hardest hit regions of the conflict in the Donbass region in the east and the port city of Mariupol. Her life is disrupted, and her grandchildren are with paternal parents. She occasionally hears from her daughter and her son-in-law, and they don't give any details of where they are or what they are doing, but end every conversation with, "Today we are okay." And so today, on this day, I think it's very appropriate for us to stand and hold a space with all of those who are hurting, all of those who are suffering, all of those who are watching people that they care for, families that they are responsible for, under such stress and distress in their lives. One of my dear friends that I grew up with and going to church with, his name was Derwin. And he was in the military during World War II and loved to share his stories, to be able to share the history. He was part of a battalion that crossed the Rhine River, and the first group to cross the Rhine River, and saw intense fighting and battle, and would tell those stories with such pain and anguish, and sometimes even disconnected from emotions altogether. I remember one story he shared that after they were clearing cities and villages in Germany, that he came into a house just making sure that everything was clear, and there was a mom sitting in the living room holding a photograph and crying. And he asked to see the photograph, and it was a young son dressed in military garb. And Derwin says that as he held that photo up and looked at it with the reflection from the light, that he saw himself in the photograph and realized that his mom is somewhere in the same space holding that kind of pain, that kind of anguish, and the war was never the same after that. Obviously, he had a job to do as a military soldier, but it impacted in a completely different way to understand the families that have a dark cloud of grief that can invade their homes from war, from our culture of violence that we live in today. Images like the one we've seen in this photograph are images of an assault on a woman's body in a place where she was supposed to be safe, a maternity hospital, an assault on her body. And I guess at this point in our culture, one place that we stand in solidarity with her is that in our country, the bodies of women are under assault. We are reading leaked reports of Roe versus Wade being overturned, and our culture preparing to take a giant step backwards. This isn't a fight for life because it doesn't consider all the lives that are impacted. This isn't really about taking care of babies, or universal health care would have already been passed, funded and implemented long ago to provide care for all of these children. This is about misogynistic and patriarchal religious dogma controlling our political system, and in turn excavating wisdom and rational thought and science from our decision making. As much as we hate to see images like this and pain us of pregnant women on a stretcher in Maripol, we have to acknowledge that the bodies of women in our own backyards are under assault, and all across the world. Saturday, the Taliban announced that all women in Afghanistan have to completely cover their faces when they are in public, or they will be punished. And they can't take a trip over 20 miles without a male accompaniment. So I have to tell you, being a dad of 3 daughters, I wonder, what are we doing? What kind of world are we bringing our families into? Here in the US, women are being told that their bodies and their lives don't matter. And I work in healthcare with my other job, my second job, job 2, besides here. I work in healthcare, and healthcare is always, with so many people, complicated issues, ethical issues that come into play, difficult decisions. One of the busiest committees in a large healthcare system like ours is one that I help manage, which is our ethics committee, that sees consults daily around trying to understand care, trying to make decisions around care. So I don't stand up here to say that I think healthcare issues are simple, that they don't bring that complexity. But I am speaking only for me and not for the entire congregation. But what I do believe is that a woman's care of her body and decisions should be made in consultation with her physician and other discipline that she involves, and should not be dictated by cult leaders, whether they're religious or political. So on this day that the calendar says is Mother's Day, I invite us all to move to compassion, to empathy, to anger, to justice, and then do what we do best, move to love.
Our closing hymn, number 131, Love Will Guide Us. We're asked that you be masked during this last hymn. And as you sing and listen to the words, they start out, love will guide us. Maybe think, mothers will guide us on this Mother's Day. I'll play it through once to familiarize you with it, and then please sing. But now, please stand. Love will guide us, peace and stride us, love inside us, will lead the way, on the road from creed to beginning. Love will guide us through our lives.
On this Mother's Day, in reverberation of last week, a reminder that our chalice is heavy, for it calls us to stand with women all across the world, to stand in solidarity and support against all the dictators who threaten their well-being. So as we extinguish it, we carry it with us. Any instructions from from the yard sale crew. Remember, we are trying to reach the 500,000 mark, so we've only hit 400,000. So make sure you get back there. And remember, only stuff on the other side of the partition. So thank you all for being here.